In order to find answers to these questions, we have invited to our conference independent consultant from Ireland, media literacy expert and the National Media Literacy Coordinator in Ireland. And she has been author and co-author of many policy documents of media literacy. And she has been also BBC editor for media literacy. Impressive CV, and not to mention that she has worked on European level institutions. And are we ready?
To our conference on media literacy and roadmaps. Good day from Riga. Can you hear us?
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to join you today and to join such an impressive lineup of speakers. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the organisers on creating such a comprehensive and interesting agenda, and thank you for the opportunity for me to contribute to the discussion. So yesterday we heard about how important media literacy is in supporting the development of democratic, civil and inclusive societies, and the threats to society when we're not media literate. We also heard about the role of media literacy in fostering quality and trustworthy information space. And today I'd like to go into that in a little more detail and talk specifically about the role of the media and journalists in promoting media literacy. So media literacy, as we know, it's about being able to set up and use devices effectively, including how to recognize and manage potentially harmful or sensitive content. It's also about being able to search and find what you're looking for. Most importantly, media literacy is about having the critical evaluation skills to understand and evaluate the information that you do find and to develop an informed opinion about it. And media literacy is also about being able to use digital media and information to participate in creative, social and democratic activities. So as we can see, media literacy touches on so many policy areas. There's a constant risk of it falling between different policy areas. Everyone can see the benefit of promoting media literacy, but sometimes nobody has the overall responsibility to make it happen. And that can be a challenge when we're trying to secure long-term funding for projects or to see what sectors or organizations could be doing what. But despite the policy soup that media literacy finds itself in sometimes, it is rising on policy agendas across the world, as illustrated by the inclusion of legal obligations on EU members through the Audiovisual Media Services Directive to promote and take measures for the development of media literacy skills. There's also a growing acceptance that media literacy is an essential life skill and it requires lifelong learning. Just recently in Ireland, the government published a 10-year adult literacy for life strategy, which for the first time included digital literacy on an equal footing with numeracy and literacy as an essential skill. But there is a key difference between developing literacy or numeracy skills and developing media literacy skills. And that is, media literacy requires constant updating and a lifelong approach. Or as Alvin Toffler would say, the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. So media literacy or media information literacy, it's a lifelong learning journey, and it's often a behavior change journey. And we know that changing behavior takes energy, it takes insight, and it takes commitment from a range of different stakeholders that can provide support to people at different stages of their own learning journeys. So this brings us to the important question of, well, whose job is it to promote media literacy? Well, almost every sector stands to benefit from a more media literate society, and almost every sector has a role to play in helping to promote media literacy. So what specifically is the role of media and journalists in promoting media literacy? What most audiences, most people don't know what media literacy is as a concept, and they don't need to know. But they do encounter media literacy issues on a very regular basis. Things such as inappropriate online engagement, harassment, scams, malware, and of course the whole issue of false and misleading information. Now, I'm just using these issues as examples because they're so topical now, and they regularly feature in news reports and other areas of the media. However, these issues are often raised as threats or problems with no suggestion about how to address them. Now, you might say that it's not the journalists or the media's job to help people fix these issues, and that's a fair argument. But actually, there are really good reasons why journalists and the media should be promoting media literacy. Because helping audiences to understand how the media works will improve their ability to make informed choices about the media that they find, consume, share, and also the media they create. And understanding how media is created, by whom and why, as well as how it is regulated, will also help audiences see that not all content is created equal, and help them to recognize and appreciate different types of content. If media and journalists can reassure people that they're not alone and help them to build the skills to better manage their media, it will help to build trust and loyalty with their audience. In fact, promoting media literacy was recommended by the European Broadcasting Union a couple of years ago as a way of public service media building engagement and trust in public service journalism. Some media organizations actually have promoting media literacy as a duty. And finally, working in collaboration has been identified as a key feature of successful media literacy projects. And these collaborations can open up new partnerships and new ways of working for the media. So you can see there are good reasons why we should be involved. So I want to, I think I may have slipped on a bit. Yes, I want to just explore for a minute what makes the media so well placed to promote media literacy. Well, media organizations, by their very nature, they've got multiple channels, they've got extensive reach, but they're also highly skilled and very experienced communicators. They know their audiences and they know how to make partnerships work. And these factors put the media in a unique position to support the public at all stages of their media literacy learning journey. Now, a key strength of the media in this area relates to their ability to be the trusted friend and raise awareness of an issue, to spark interest and debate, and then to signpost to further information and help. The media also has a unique and very important role to play in terms of normalizing media literate behavior and helping audiences learn new skills. So I'm going to give you some examples of what this looks like in action now. The first example is one that I'm personally very familiar with, as I was the national coordinator for this project. And I think it's a great example of how media and journalists, along with other stakeholders, can raise awareness of a media literacy issue, generate debate, and signpost to sources of support. So Be Media Smart is an initiative which encourages people to stop, think, and check that the information that they read or see or hear is reliable and accurate. It was developed in 2019, and the original campaign concept was based on the idea that in the same way that there's ways to check the quality of our food, there are ways to check the quality of our information. Now, this project demonstrated collaboration at its finest. These logos represent the members of Media Literacy Ireland. That's the organisation behind this campaign. So these logos represent the organisations who are actively involved in developing and supporting the campaign. And they did it in line with what their areas of expertise were. And you'll notice that most of them are media organisations. In fact, all of the commercial radio and TV stations, all of the public service media, and all of the community media network in Ireland supported this campaign. And we also had support from print media and online platforms. So I think we can play the ad now, if that's okay. Play the video, please.
It's important to you to know where your food comes from. Isn't it just as important to know where your information comes from? It's not always easy to verify what you see, read or hear, but now there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland.
Thanks. So the ad was made by the public service broadcaster here, and they made it available to every other member of Media Literacy Ireland. So that was really important. They also made a radio ad, which I think we can listen to now.
You wouldn't buy a car without knowing its history. So why would you buy a story without knowing who's telling it? Come here and I tell you. It's not always easy to verify what you see, read or hear, but now there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland, supported by your local radio station.
So the TV ads and the radio ads, as I say, went across all channels in the country, and the estimated reach of the radio ads alone was over 2 million people. That's almost half the population of the country. So Newsbrands Ireland is the representative body for all national newspapers in Ireland, and they organised the publication of this ad for free across all of these publications. The campaign also benefited from a huge amount of editorial coverage across TV, radio and the press. There's some examples coming up on the screen now. And I think this really underlined how topical the issue is and the appetite within the media to help do something about it. So reinforcing all of this coverage, there was also a social media campaign involving all of the Media Literacy Ireland members who were freely using these social media assets that were created. And Facebook, Google and Twitter all offered non-profit members free ad credit as well. So all of this directed people to a microsite, bemediasmart.ie. And this very simply provides tips on how to verify information and links to resources from partners in Ireland and abroad. So that was 2019. And then, of course, in the spring of 2020, COVID hit and a wave of misinformation around COVID-19 emerged in Ireland. And at that point, Media Literacy Ireland members again came together and said, it's time to promote the Be Media Smart campaign. It's time to promote the Stop Think message. But this time in relation to checking that information about COVID-19 was accurate, that people were getting was accurate and reliable. So we had an updated video, which I think we're going to play now.
Things aren't always what they seem. We may not always know where our information is coming from or who it's coming from. That's why it's more important than ever to verify what you see, read or hear, and to be media smart. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland.
So, and the initiative ran again this year at a time when there was a particular need for people to make informed choices about COVID-19 vaccinations based on accurate and reliable information. So you can see how the campaign has evolved with the various needs in society. There was also a new radio ad and new social media assets. So I think they might have time for just this video as well.
Things aren't always. You wouldn't buy a car without knowing its history. So why would you buy a story without knowing who's telling it? Come here and I tell you. It's not always easy to verify what you see, read or hear, but now there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland, supported by your local radio station.
So all of this coverage and all members of the network were able to use these resources, and everything pointed to the Be Media Smart website. And this year we updated it and we added a fact check section on the website. Now, another key step in changing behaviours is providing support at the right time, and the media is extremely well placed to do this. So picking up on the example I just gave, the Be Media Smart campaign, we have a small but brilliant band of journalists who will regularly signpost readers and listeners and viewers to the Be Media Smart website for help and support when they're reporting on stories to do with misinformation. And this signposting to sources of support is really critical, because if we don't give people some form of support, there's a real risk that we scare them into denial or into inaction. Next, I want to highlight the very important role that media and journalists have in creating learning opportunities for audiences. And I love this example. It's an animated children's series called Alva's World by Cavalier Productions. And it's based in the land of Gizmo, which is an online world, which is the online world in metaphor. And it's populated with oolies, who represent the friends and online connections that we have. And of course, there are trolls. The heroine, Alva, she takes a real-world internet-related problem, and it's often too difficult for her to understand. It's targeting 6 to 8 year olds, sometimes too difficult for their parents. So she brings this issue to her friends in Gizmo, and they figure it out. Alva, the oolies, and the trolls act out the problem in a kind of pantomimed way to help young viewers unravel the meaning in a way that's designed for their level of comprehension and for their parents as well. And another important step on a behavior change journey is normalizing the desired media literacy behavior. The media is so important here. Media content reflects life, especially in the entertainment genre, whether in drama, soap operas, or reality TV. So the potential for having characters that the audience can relate to and having those characters demonstrate positive media literacy behaviors really should not be underestimated, because it is very powerful. And Alva's World is a good example of this, because we see how the parents are engaging with the child. So it really is collective learning. I think we just might have time to play this video as well.
Oh, go Gizmo!
So that just gives you a little idea. But learning can take on a more formal approach, such as the Press Pass News Literacy and Student Journalism Programme. Now, this is run by Newsbrands Ireland, the organisation I mentioned earlier. They're the representative body for newspapers in Ireland. The main goal of Press Pass is to help students make informed judgments about the news they read and share online. And since it launched in 2012, around 90,000 students in Ireland have benefited from it. So students and teachers are provided with digital newspapers and with resources, and then they can go on to analyse the content and the writing styles and create their own journalism, which is entered into a national competition. And creative participation is an aspect of media literacy that's often overlooked, which is a real shame, because A, learning by doing is a very powerful technique, and B, the technology that most of us have in our pockets now is so powerful it can make us all broadcasters and open up fantastic opportunities to help shape the media if we have the skill to do so. The Edit is an initiative from commercial broadcaster Sky and software company Adobe, and it's a digital storytelling challenge and competition which helps children explore how to create and tell stories using media. And you can, I don't think I have time to play the last video, but you can look it up online. There's a reason that journalists in particular are well placed to promote media literacy. and it's the 5 W's, the who, the what, where, when, and how. That's the basis of good journalism. It's also the basis of media literacy. It's second nature for journalists. And another way that journalists and media organisations are promoting media literacy is through fact-checking initiatives such as the journal.ie in Ireland, and there are some other examples on your screen. So given the importance of media literacy now more than ever before, and the specific benefits for the media of a more media literate population, now is the time for more media organisations, content producers and journalists to get creative and do their bit to help bring about media literacy for all. So I'll finish up there. I'm not sure if we've got time for questions, but if I'll hand back to the moderator now.
Yes, thank you, Martina. We have one question. As we will be followed quite soon by a discussion on experience of Latvian media according to content of media literacy made by them. Who should be responsible for, you said it's a lifelong education and process, who should be responsible for lifelong learning of media professionals? What's your opinion?
Well, it's a good question, and it's a question that relates not just to media professionals, but to adults, I think, in general, and obviously most media professionals fall into that category. Because technology changes so quickly, the opportunities, but also the unintended consequences emerge at a very rapid rate. So we all need to be improving our own media literacy skills all the time. It's easier to promote media literacy in schools because there is a very good system there. It's much more difficult to help adults improve their media literacy skills on an ongoing basis. Which is why I thought in Ireland, when that 10-year strategy included digital literacy, it was a big step forward. But I think in terms of media professionals, I think media organisations could start to look at professional development and looking at, because I believe there are huge benefits for media organisations to be promoting media literacy externally to their audiences, but also internally as well. But I do think that question applies to adults across the board.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this answer and for your beautiful presentation and many inspirations to copy or to borrow or to do whatever we need. Thank you very much. Very useful presentation from Martina.